Our standard merchant was probably about a 50K, plus or minus average monthly revenues. They've been in business for at least a year, likely even sometimes a little more. Their credit scores are probably in and around 550, and they're looking to expand.
What's like your average customer profile? Like, is there a specific industry you're seeing more applicants from, or is it all across the board? Like, who is this product best suited for?
The product is best suited for, there is not one industry for which this industry is best suited for. We typically find that it's best suited for a size more than an industry in particular, which is why those minimum revenues. But our standard merchant, when you say, is probably about a 50K, plus or minus average monthly revenues. They've been in business for at least a year, likely even sometimes a little more. Their credit scores are probably in and around 550, and they're looking to expand.
I see.
So we find most of our business, on average, our average deal is about $40,000. That's typically where the business sort of starts and launches.
What do merchants coming to you, what are their baseline needs to qualify?
We require that merchants are in business for 12 months, for starters. We require that they're generating revenues of over 15, 20K is really our preference. But we sometimes see at 15K gross monthly revenues, when there's some consistency, that there might be a window of opportunity, depending on the opportunity they're seeking. Is it a revenue generating opportunity that's going to help accelerate business, or is it something that just keeps the lights on? Credit scores, different from the bank. We don't use credit score in the same way the bank does. We don't weight it quite as heavy. It's relevant, but it's not our top point. You want to be, again, as transparent as possible. We're going to find out whatever we're going to find out. The more information we have at the beginning, the more successful we can, in fact, share your file information and provide you with something that's valuable. So if your credit score is below 500, you want to let your people know in advance. You don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste anyone's time. So that level of transparency, we're really looking at a minimum 500 and up, to answer your question. And we do recognize that humans, listen, people have varying stories. People make mistakes, and we want to see where we can to help rebuild that. That's part of the mission.
Do you have any recommendations for sort of maybe businesses that are in their early stages, or that even what you were talking about, those people who are right on the threshold of what you want to see, the 4 months of 15,000 in gross revenue, when they're looking for funding, what sorts of things do you want them to know, whether they're coming to you or anyone else, just because they're smaller and don't have the track record of others?
Part of it is really building what they've got in order to be eligible for funding. And I believe that's what you're asking. So, some businesses, as they're growing, they're taking more cash and less putting in the bank statements. We are always looking at what's in your bank statements. So recognizing that as you're building that business, you want to make sure you're making those deposits and that you're getting that cash in there, because that's where we're going to be initially looking, and that you're doing your best to also build your credit. You want to make sure you're performing. In other words, you don't want to be submitting bank statements that are full of NSFs. You want to grow slow and steady. You want to grow within your means, because the minute you don't, cash flow becomes an issue.